Parks and
Sorry, it was
Let's
delayed.
get started. For the June 22nd, a meeting of the Parks and Conservation Land Board. We have a busy schedule today. We have a property to evaluate. And so we'll get started with that. Why don't we do a roll call? Why don't we start over there across the table and say your name?
Anson Boder,
All right.
Nicole Hall, Community Services.
Rick Murphy.
Maggie Biscoe. Susan Williams, that's Armstrong.
Richard Harvey.
Stephen Zamorowski. And today we have,
Shoot, our house liaison.
all right, we have guests, Scott Kunkler.
You got it.
Kunkler. All right. So with that, does anybody want to make a motion to accept the meetings from our March meeting, the minutes from our March meeting?
March.
May meeting.
May meeting, May, yeah, May, I'm sorry, May, yes,
So moved.
all right. Any comments? All right, do I have a second on that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, Maggie, for putting those together, appreciate it. All right, we have a public comment, opportunity here. Do we have anybody online?
No, but Jessica just got online.
Hi, Jessica. Let's make a note that Jessica's here online. Anybody have any public comments? Scott, anything from the land trust other than what we're gonna talk about today? Oh. Hi, Andrew, you snuck in.
I don't have anything.
Yeah, just a reminder, our Broad Farm Bash is at the end of August, tickets are on sale. The great evening, lots of fun, food, great, beautiful setting, Broad Farm. And if you have any questions, talk to me, Scott. Happy to help you.
It's a wonderful evening, and it's going to be a beautiful day, guaranteed. Thank you, Andrew. All right, item number 4, talk of the town. I think this is a great opportunity for Karen to give us a little update. There was a lot of talk about growth over the last month or so. It was an opportunity for the town council to reevaluate or look at goals for the year. And there were several mentions of the land board and the conservation of land and this upcoming evaluation of new property. You want to give any color to that, Karen?
I mean, we just went through the whole budget process and that was eventful and painful, as you all watched. I do want to point something out that I pointed out to the Conservation Commission as well, that during the budget process, there was some town land that I actually wanted to have conserved, that they wanted to cut down trees and expand the Scarborough cemetery. And so I just mentioned that because while you guys don't really have control over that, it's like little things like this that I want to tell people about. So it was really frustrating. And so I was able to get them to table that or defer it. And one of the things I'm just looking for help with generally is to maybe help, it's actually Public Works find, I would prefer a better place if we were gonna do a cemetery. If you're familiar with Scarborough Cemetery, Memorial Cemetery, it's on Old Blue Point and it's right between the marsh and Eastern Trail. It's actually about 40 acres of wooded land that we own that I thought we should conserve. So that was something interesting that it's moments like those where I'm glad I'm on the budget committee because it's like little things like that you can kind of pull out. We just went through our growth exercise there and I don't know, I mean, we're very dictated by the state when it comes to the amount of growth that we're allowed to do and limit and things like that. And so we just went through that process. But otherwise, I mean, I think it's been a busy year. We had the short-term rentals that came through. I know one of the goals that I'm really interested in seeing come to fruition, especially as the purse strings get a little tighter, is possibly using the land bond money for recreation, which I know I'm all about 30 by 30, but I also do feel like, we should be using those funds to help the town buy some property. And so I'm happy to see that you guys are working with the Community Services Advisory Board to create some sort of checklist. I don't know where community services is at that point at land, but I think we definitely need more space to expand the fields and things like that. I'm very hopeful that we would get an application actually from the town to buy some recreation land. While the funds are still there, not to diminish our 30 by 30 goal at all. I think sometimes we're just trying to find creative ways to get what we need in the town. I don't know if there's anything specific that anyone has questions on, or if there's something I didn't touch on, Dan, specifically. No, it's been a busy spring, very happy. It's the summer.
On the agenda, it has housing study. Is that also?
Yeah, so,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
He can talk more because you're on the housing line.
housing lines.
Leave that down.
Yeah.
That's your question. Does the town look for matching funds from athletic things with, if we're gonna go buy athletic fields? And do we go outside for outside funding, as the land trust and other entities have done to?
Right. I mean, I don't even know if Nicole could even answer that.
There is funding out there, whether it's through Main Trails program,
And I know there's some athletic ones that pay for fields, if you get the grants, and there are grants out there.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the, I would say maybe a year or two ago, one of the big emphasis that town council had for our goals was to explore more grants. And I hope you've seen, like, especially with like Scarborough Hill and things like that, like we're really putting the boots to the pavement here with trying to find other funds. So in my view, if, you know, Nick was like, I found a great property, I think they would do the same exact thing that everyone's doing at this point. Just like the fire department is exploring a million different grants for their telecommunications tower. I mean, there's a high expectation of someone coming before council. The first question would be, what grants have you explored? I've just never been on council where we've used it for that purpose. I've seen so many other departments use grants, like I just used that example, for transportation and safety and things like that. I just don't know what's out there, but the expectation would be 100% yeah. Yep.
So, in my, meeting with the Community Services Advisory Board, I got an update from Nick last week. Because we're having this meeting, they haven't done any new work on this given the budget time, so now I guess they're gonna start looking at opportunities. They're gonna do two things. Look at our evaluation mechanism and try to come up with some version of that for recreation. Start looking for opportunity to fund through grants like we do, and also potentially starting to look at for land, although didn't seem very active. It would actually actively looking for land part. So next time I talk to them, I can look into that.
we met with Autumn.
I remember
to
that.
Just sit down and figure out what are left for parcels, and it's getting there.
Yes,
There's
very
not all
little.
that much.
And I think that's why we're putting pressure, because like there's only so much land on. We can't ask the land trust to buy all of it, you know what I mean? And so I think that's my personal issue is just I want to buy it before someone else does.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe there's a collaboration between Parks and Rec, this board,
Right.
land trust, where we can find a part of land, and do both.
That-
Who knows, right? That brings me to the other thing I want to talk about. You're here, you're passionate about this clear cutting on the line there in Saco. You want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I should have mentioned that before. I'm sorry, a little tired. One of the council goals was to address clear cutting, and we limited it to commercial lots. You know, it's kind of hard to dictate what people are doing on the residential lots per se. That was actually already a goal. Jamie Fitch had kind of trickled that into me, an idea a couple of years ago, because South Portland has it. And I mean, South Portland is a very different demographic and setup, but they had an ordinance for it. And so that was already one of the goals that we were gonna work on, but if you've driven down Route 1 down to Saco, literally the last property that you hit in Scarborough, clear cut, completely all of it. It's like upsetting. I'm like getting upset, like thinking about it, because it's like, this is like the exact stuff that we are trying to prevent. And I think what concerns me right now is there was no deterrent. So, I mean, the constant conversation that I'm hearing from the planning department is was like, the fines are just the cost of doing business. And so I'm like extremely frustrated, because I think we do have some issues within our ordinances where people don't feel deterred to not do this behavior. And so, you know, we haven't actually had a lot of instances of it. I just think the timing of this is just crazy. Good or bad, we have the perfect example of like what ordinances we have in place and maybe things that we need to strengthen. So at ordinance, earlier this month, we did like our first round of just kind of what type of properties we want to address, like half acres, acres, like what size limits, and sort of triggers that require people to come. Like anytime someone gets a forestry permit now, we want them to have to come to the town. Because that might prevent something like that happening. I mean, my personal opinion on that Route 1, I mean, that's a developer from over the line. He knows, everyone knows that with the brooks right there, you know, if you're a developer that you shouldn't be doing it. So this to me, again, is the perfect example of someone who knew exactly.
And we have no mechanism to stop their work, to take over we have no recourse other than a fine.
Right, so what we do is, well, you have to restore. So this is, you have to
Restore
restore.
old growth or.
So he has to, you know, restore all the growth around the stream and everything like that. But I think part of the talk that we're having, and I'm happy to say there seemed to be some appetite at ordinance, was if someone does this, was to actually delay development of the property.
Right.
Because we're trying to say, okay, like, some people they don't
Cease and
care, you know,
desist.
I gotta get this development out, I'll pay $1 million in fines if I can just clear cut, get my property in and move along and sell it. So we've done a little research, and even after my ordinance meeting, I found that there are towns and places that if you do this sort of stuff, we are going to not only fine you and make you restore, but then we're not gonna let you apply again for any sort of development for, I mean, and after talking to people, they're like 6 months is not enough. They're like, it needs to be a year, it needs to be more.
Right.
If you guys have any thoughts on this subject, please, because we don't meet again until August. I mean, we're very open, like we're taking all the feedback we can. One of my issues is, like, I think we should be increasing our fines. I think, you know, I think there's a lot of conversation around, well, we have to justify it. I'm like, we have the largest saltwater marsh in the state. That's my justification. Our fines should be higher than other towns. Like, there is a real impact when people clear cut. I think it's more impactful than other towns. So I'm really excited that, good or bad, that this conversation is happening. I hate that it's been spurred to this because of that incident. I'm really curious to kind of see how much they end up paying in fines and what the rest.
Are they already doing it and that's how we find out?
Yeah, well, we're like a few days.
We know that they're even going to do it?
The restoration?
No, the clear.
No, because they didn't apply for any permits.
No, so like technically, I think the process is like, if you're gonna do a clear cut, I mean, you know better than me, but part of it, you get a forestry permit if you're just gonna do a like cut for forestry. They didn't do any of that. And so one of the processes we wanna say is anytime someone takes a forestry permit, from now on, you have to come to the town and talk to us. That's not in our ordinance right now.
So why didn't they get a forestry?
They
didn't want it.
heard the law.
Because if they
Willing to
did,
pay the fees.
well, because if they did, the forestry permit would have said, don't cut by the stream. That's my opinion.
Okay.
So if you don't ask, you don't know. I mean, again, all opinions, speculation. I'm very unhappy with that.
We need to move along, but please send a letter, write an email to the town council.
Yeah,
Supporting whatever you think is right.
I think supporting, like, I would love support with increasing fines, making the application sit.
Delay.
I think delaying applications, I really
Giving
feel
part
like.
of the land back to the town.
Some people were saying you can't sell it, not like you can't sell it, but like you can't clear cut and then make a profit off of selling it. Like those are the type of things we wanna put checks in to prevent people from coming in, clear cutting. I mean, I don't know if there's anything preventing this guy from selling it top price to someone else now.
So increasing fines and what was the other one?
Delaying like, applications.
The whole
So like, you
project.
know, you submit an application to the planning department for development. If you violate this clear cutting ordinance, we're saying we won't even look at your application again for a period of time.
Okay.
And again, it doesn't happen that often, but
That's a
but-
big problem.
but when it does, like, we need to be, and you know, I mean, I think we should be collecting bigger fines. It's just,
It's almost so jarring when you're driving anywhere and what you've been used to seeing is a very nice green space and suddenly it's apartment building.
Yeah.
You know, it's just,
Yeah.
oh,
All right, we need to move forward. I would like to make a motion to move Scott and the land trust up this evaluation to the next item in the agenda, so we can get through that and then go back to some of these more housekeeping pieces. Do people support that? We'll get a motion. Second? All right, all in favor? All right.
So you have nothing to say about the housing.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. The Housing Alliance is looking to engage a consulting firm to do a housing study. The last one was done 15 to 12 years ago or something like that. It's been a long time. Obviously, affordability to housing is a big issue for the town. And we want to update that study. And more importantly, we would like the consultant to come up with some strategies and action items that we can potentially take to help affordability of housing. Affordability with I don't know if it's a capital A or small a, but affordability for everything. Because affordability for housing is becoming more of an issue for more people with the prices of housing.
It's both rental and.
It's rental and, yeah, it's rental and purchase. So we hope to have some results before the end of the year. Have that study done and some results and some recommendations before the year for the new policy. So that's that. All right, so Scott, if you would please provide us with your presentation on this new property, which is 255 Payne Road, Salamander Forest Preserve. Also, I would like to in doing so, maybe before or maybe after, I would appreciate an update on the grants that we're waiting for money from NACA. Given that this is asking us for money in lieu of NACA or before the bridge NACA, if you could give us an update on those grants. I have two. Are there two? I have 49 Grant Road and 91 Mustard Road. Do both of those have NACA money pending?
Yes,
Okay,
and there's others as well.
okay.
So do you want me to?
But not from the land trust, right? You're not, there's not money pending to the land trust for more than those two?
Yes, there are.
There are.
There are, yes. Yes, we have a
Yeah.
number of properties.
All right, so yeah, I guess we need an update on that.
You want me to do the update first or do the property first?
What would people prefer? An update, yeah, give us an
Update?
update,
Okay.
yeah.
So we have 91 Muzzy and 00 Gorham Road were the first application process through NACA, and those both use land bond money that we would be, looking to reimburse the town for whatever, it's all gonna depend on how much we get from NACA. And due diligence costs that NACA requires. So we'll have this, I don't know the exact dollar amounts that we'll be reimbursing the town, but those are on the list to be reimbursed. That application, we've gotten some feedback from NACA, but it has been delayed. It's atypically delayed. Typically, it takes about maybe 2 years from time of application to the time of release of funding to the applicant. But there were some changes in the procedures of how the federal government released money back in January 2026 when the new administration started, and that has pretty much halted all releases of funding at this point. So most of the applications that we have through NACA have been awarded, and they have been allocated through the congressional budget. It's just a matter of the administration releasing the funding. Everything's awarded, everything's budgeted. So we're working through that process. So we have not received the funds for that yet. We haven't finished out.
You're talking specifically about 91 Mussey?
91 Muzzy and 00 Gorham Road.
How about 49 Grant, Beaver Brook?
49 Grant, I'd have to look back and see if it's been awarded or not. So some of the earlier grants have been awarded. I could, if you want to give me a second, I could try and look it up, but it's going through the process. If it has been awarded, then again, we're just waiting on the release of funds. And
Okay.
what happens is kind of the procedure is that because we're not the official applicant, we're a sub-applicant. The official applicant is a different land trust in Maine, and they work directly with NACA, so I'm not working directly with NACA and speaking with them. I'm kind of working through the applicant.
Okay.
and finding out things, so we're just holding on, waiting for NACA to request the documents for the, you know, there's contracts that have to be signed, we have to release documents, due diligence documents to NACA, and then the grant gets, you know, that final approval for release of funds.
Is that just on this one? The other one were the Muzzy Road were the applicant? This
No,
one?
we're not the official applicant on any of these
On any of
applications,
these,
so
okay.
how we do it in Maine is that there's a group of land trusts that get together, we have a coalition. And we hire a grant writer to write the grant for NACA, because federal grants are very complicated. And so for us to be successful, on which we have been very successful, the coalition's been successful over about the last 10 years. We've gotten every application approved and awarded, that's been applied for from Maine. And that's like twice a year these applications go out. So we've been very successful. We have a grant writer who understands the program, who used to work for one of the land trusts in Maine. So he's a land trust person. We work together on putting the application in, but the application has to come from one entity, one land trust entity. And then there might be 6 or 7 different land trusts within one application. You have one land trust that is the applicant and all the rest of them are sub applicants. So all of the documents and correspondence and funding goes through the actual applicant, and then it's dispersed out through the sub applicants. So I hear from the applicant, you know, the other land trust as to what we need to submit and all of that, and then we work from there. So I
That
don't
creates
have,
another level. of like,
right, so I don't have direct contact with NACA on, you know, what's going on. I just get updates from the applicant. I reach out to the applicant and I you know, get updates from them.
So on Mussey Road, the budget listed 250,000 on Grant Road, it's listed 260,000. Are you saying that's not potentially all that's not gonna come back if the grant is awarded?
So there's multiple grants, there's multiple applications. We have probably.
No, but I'm saying specifically the Mussey one, the grant that Mussey's part of. We listed 250, you listed $250,000 as the budget amount that we contributed.
Correct.
That's potentially not being all returned even if you get the grant?
Right, and we have to see, they award it, but through the due diligence process, there might be. For some reason, I mean, I haven't gone through this part yet, but there might be for some reason that the award is lowered by a small amount.
But,
Because it's all based on acreages of wetlands and acreages of all this kind of stuff, so we have to flush out the final, and then we'll find out exactly the amount, and then there's due diligence costs that NACA has, like, we have to get additional appraisals, which are expensive, because they're federal yellow book appraisals, and we have, other due diligence items we have to do, so once we have all that put together, we get the final award and we see the due diligence cost, then we'll know more about how much we would be reimbursing the town.
okay,
But it'll be, you know, it'll be close to that dollar.
Okay.
But I don't have an actual dollar.
and then, I'm sorry, one more, 004, I don't remember that one. Is that, what do you call that? Is that have a name?
That was a piece that expanded Warren Woods, with about 10 acres.
Okay.
It was off of Finch Way.
That before my time, does anybody remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, great, thank you. All right, sorry, but I think that's relevant to this current conversation.
Yeah, so it's all of these, we've been awarded a number of these, you know, and some of the more recent ones. We haven't been awarded yet because it takes about a year from time of applications to time of award. And then about another year from time of award to release the funds, that's typically how it works. Again, it's that time from award to time of release of funds has been delayed because of the new procedures. So we're waiting on that, but we'll definitely, you know, once we have the ability to reimburse the town, we will definitely reach out.
Thanks, Ed. All right, with that, take it away.
All right, thank you. So thank you all for inviting me to speak about the Salamander Forest Preserve. This is located at 255 Payne Road. It's right across the street from Cabela's off of Payne Road, and well, if you were able to put up the map, I'll show everybody
I
that.
wasn't able to extract things this time around. We'll have to work on it next time, but
Okay.
should be in here.
While you're pulling that up, Noah's trying to get onto Zoom if he's in the waiting room, or you might be having the problem I had where it just doesn't connect.
Thanks, Jesse.
Yeah, I don't see them in there yet.
Okay, yeah, the Zoom, I had to restart my computer. The reason why I was late is it wouldn't open in any application.
Gotcha. Too small.
Which one do you want?
That would be great. Awesome. So that's a map of the location of the property, and that's the tax map boundary. We're currently working on getting a survey of the property, but it should come out to be very similar to that.
The red.
The red, yeah, the red, yeah. You can see some of the streams that run through the area. Those streams, eventually their tributaries feed it into Millbrook, which goes out to the marsh. The crosshatched area up on the left there is an open space, considered conserved land in Scarborough, so straight across Payne Road from the property. You've got Cabela's, which is up on the like up top center of it, and then you have the Gateway residences, our apartment building off to the right there, and you can see Higas Parkway is running down the right side of the map. Payne Road runs kind of down through the center, and you can see the turnpike over in the top left corner. So it's 46 acres of, it's completely undeveloped, there's no buildings, no structures on it. 46 acres of undeveloped land, including forests, wetlands, some streams you can see, and 3 vernal pools, one of which is been classified state significant. It was reviewed by a vernal pool consultant for the state to determine that. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about this property. It is boxed in. You'll see a lot of development around this. It's a very developed corridor within Scarborough. But even so, it will deliver ecological, hydrological, and community benefits aligned with local, state, and national conservation priorities. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through presentations. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the streams. So those streams, have been identified by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service through their Nature's Network program, that the stream is considered an aquatic core network, part of an aquatic core network that, if protected, will support a broad diversity of aquatic species and the ecosystems on which they depend. The remainder land, the entire 46 acres of the property, is also considered by U.S. Fish and Wildlife as an aquatic buffer. And those aquatic buffers are important, that by controlling pollution, erosion, and other human influences within those aquatic buffers, it can help prevent adverse impacts to the aquatic core area. There's also wetlands within the property, 3 vernal pools. The wetlands and vernal pools act as a natural climate resilience infrastructure. They absorb stormwater and slowly release it. And they also reducing flood risk, and they also help to maintain the base flows of rivers by holding that water and releasing it slowly during times of drought. They help to maintain base flows of these streams during those drought periods. So as we see climate change happening, we're seeing more extreme rainfall events, creating flooding. We're seeing more extreme drought situations. And so these wetlands and vernal pools help to moderate the effects of that climate change. The vernal pools in particular act as hydraulic refugia, which they hold water longer into the dry season because they're a little bigger than some typical wetlands, bigger and deeper. They hold water longer. And that also helps to support species that are highly vulnerable to climate stress. If they're not able to, if they're not able to survive as well during drought periods, these vernal pools will hold that water down. So protecting this unique system enhances regional biodiversity and fortifies ecological stability as climate extremes increase. And as we talked about, one of the vernal pools is classified as a state significant vernal pool for its numbers of spotted salamander eggs. And that's where we chose, we got the name for the property to kind of highlight the fact that this property is, really supporting spotted salamanders. The property also lies atop 5 acres of a state significant sand and gravel aquifer, as mapped by the Maine Geological Survey. So these forests and wetlands help to allow for the rainwater to infiltrate down into the aquifer and replenish it. Keeping that aquifer viable and good for all kinds of services that aquifer provides for water, for drinking water, for movement into streams, etc. And this property will also protect biodiversity and wildlife habitat. It is located within a federal bird conservation focus area. It's located, the vernal pools and surrounding forests will protect habitat for amphibians, like we talked about, especially the wood frogs and spotted salamanders. And it will also provide habitat for, potential habitat for 5 imperiled species, as noted by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for this property. The northern long-eared bat, which is federally endangered. And interestingly enough, when we did our walk, some of the folks, the participants got to see some of the snags, which are dead standing trees, and the bark is still on some of those trees peeling away. And the northern long-eared bat likes to roost in that area between the peeling bark and the dead wood of the tree. So those snags, having these forests that are more mature, are really helpful to protecting and providing habitat for species like the northern long-eared bat, which is endangered. The other ones are the tricolored bat, which is proposed by the federal government for to be endangered, for endangered status. The spotted turtle, which is Maine threatened. The wood thrush, which is a Maine species of greatest conservation need. And the prairie warbler, which is also a Maine species of greatest conservation need. And the prairie warbler is probably not the best name for this species. They don't live in prairies, they live in young forests, so this property would provide that habitat for them. But I think one of the most important aspects of the property, outside of the ecological values, is that it's going to serve as a vibrant neighborhood green space. You know, we've got apartment complex on one side, we've got neighborhood single-family homes on the other sides, you know, commercial areas. So this will help to foster community vitality, recreational opportunity, and environmental stewardship in one of Scarborough's most developed corridors. So I think this is a very important green space for all the people that, especially all the people that are living right nearby, that they'll be able to access this property. So we will be providing public access. There is a trail on the property already, and we'll probably be expanding upon that. Things such as hiking, snowshoeing, wildlife observation. And so the property, protecting this property will advance 2 important town goals. The first one is the town's comprehensive plan, because it states continuing to preserve open spaces is integral to the health and well-being of residents, visitors, and ecosystems. The town's public spaces are central to its ability to foster neighborhood vitality, sense of community, recreational opportunities, environmental health, and local mobility. A walkable network of open spaces is an invaluable element of an equitable, healthy, and vibrant future. That's a quote from the comprehensive plan. And then the second important goal for the town is the town's 30 by 30 goal. So that's my little summary of the property. I can move on to the other aspects of the application if you want to be ready to go. Thank you.
So is it close to, or I know it's not contiguous or adjacent to anything conserved, but is it close to anything conserved that somebody wanted to take a hike or a walk that they could easily get to another parcel or another place to?
So this area up here, the crosshatch part, is considered conserved by the town. It's within the open space plan. So that's a conserved property that's across the street. It is across Payne Road. I don't think, I mean, it's not public access because it's owned by the HOA. So there's no trails for public, so that you wouldn't have a people access to it, but it was definitely creates a wildlife access and an ability for animals and plants to move through. The closest area for human recreation connections would be up Payne Road. We have our Warren Woods Preserve. So if you just go up if you just go up Payne Road, you have to go past Costco and then it's right on the right there. So I think there's sidewalks that would connect the two. I think once you get up past Costco, I don't think there's any sidewalks. You'd be walking along the edge of the road to access into the property. But that would be the closest connection. I mean, there's potential with collaborating with the town, if we could put some kind of a connection between the two properties along Payne Road, like extending sidewalks or something like that. That has potential to do that.
Is any of that land development? Is it all wetlands?
So it's about half wetlands, maybe a little bit more than half wetlands, and the rest of it is dry. So, you know, you're talking 46 acres of property. So I think there's about a little over 20 acres that are dry. 20 acres is plenty of room to put a lot of, housing, commercial, you know, any kind of development like that on there.
I have heard murmurs of that apartment complex having a phase two. Is that? I mean, I don't know if that's the land they're buying or if I don't even see where they can have a phase two up there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and so I don't know, and that's why I'm curious, because that was something I heard years ago. And I will tell you, because my other question, or bad, is if you allow dogs, because I know everyone, that is a dog-friendly apartment complex, and I'm flagging that now, because that's gonna make those apartments very marketable, but very difficult, because they all have pets.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's gonna be an amazing benefit for the apartments. For people to be able to go right outside their door without having to drive anymore and walk right back onto the property. And same for these neighborhoods down in here. Again, they're gonna, you know, they have the potential to be able to walk right onto the property. So I think it's very valuable. Like what I was saying, a very vibrant green space for this neighborhood. If you look on the maps, these neighborhoods don't really have public access, you know, right next to them, right? I mean, they can drive up to Warren Woods and do that, but like having something, it's a different experience when you're able to walk out your back door and be right on the trail system. So I think it's gonna really add to that whole neighborhood.
Is the seller the apartment complex owner?
No, that's different. So,
Jessica has a question.
just, yeah.
Because we have the map up, will they re-parking and where would that be?
So we haven't figured out exactly the parking situation. We're looking into, there's a number of different options because there are some different access points. But we do have access off of Payne Road. So there is a potential, there's actually 5 access points along Payne Road. So there's a potential to come in from Payne Road and put parking in there if we choose to go that route. But we're still exploring different options.
Well, one of the boxes that you checked on your application was hunting.
Okay.
How would hunting be compatible with all of these other recreation activities?
Well, I mean, we do hunting on most of our other properties.
I'm thinking from a safety viewpoint, because remember when we were out walking, we saw that tree stand way up there. I don't know how you could have hunting on this property if you also have people snowshoeing and walking and everything else.
So, I mean, there's hunting on the property. It appears there's hunting on the property right now with the hunting stands. There's 2 hunting stands.
I know, yeah, I saw them. It was, you know, they weren't readily apparent.
Right.
I mean, if you're walking along a trail and there's a hunter up there with a gun, doesn't sound to me that it's all that safe.
So we do have, our properties have trails on them and we allow hunting on those properties as well. I mean, there's rules in place. I don't know if they're state rules, but I mean, you can't be hunting across trails. Like you can't put safety of people that are out on the properties, can't put their safety in danger while you're hunting. There's also different types of hunting. So there's, you have hunting by a gun, like shotgun, but you can also do bow and arrow. So it would be something
which is actually even more dangerous than a rifle.
Well, I think the thing with bow and arrows is that you have to have a closer line of sight. So it's you're not gonna be mistaking a person walking. But this is all stuff that we evaluate after we own a property. We don't go into a huge amount of evaluation before we own a property because, we have to make sure that we are able to secure it first. Once we own a property, then we go through a whole evaluation process to figure out, maybe hunting, we would determine that hunting would not be the best thing for this property, or maybe we would determine that it could be done in a certain way. But that would be, that would be something that would be done internally, like our stewardship director or our executive director.
Okay, I get it.
Would evaluate.
I think it might be helpful, though, I see your concern, to know what other properties you have that abut so much population, so I look at that apartment complex. And I do have concerns, because you have a whole slew of people who are just moving into this area, who are just running through the woods, maybe chasing after their dog. And so maybe it might be helpful moving forward to know, like when I think of Fuller Farm, but you have 2 acre zoning out there, so it's a lot more spread out residentially. So like hunting on there makes more sense, but I think with hunting on with such a huge population surrounding it, I do appreciate you bringing that.
And it might be determined that it doesn't work. If some of our properties, we don't allow hunting on, some we only allow bow hunting on, and some we allow shotgun on. So we have a variety of different ways we manage for hunting, and we take into consideration the property and the boundaries and all those things. I didn't want to, I checked the box, not because I thought that we're gonna be doing that, but there was potential for that, right? And that's something we would be evaluating.
I guess that's what I was struggling with, I mean, you check the box. And therefore, to my way of thinking, that's something that it would be permitted. And having walked through that property with you, I can see that would be not maybe the best idea in the world.
Okay, I think, I appreciate
sidetrack
that,
the
no, but I
conversation.
appreciate, but I think we also need to look at the heritage of this community, and hunting is a big part of the heritage. And there's very limited hunting east of the pike. Maybe that's for good reason, but I just think we need to be open-minded to other perspectives, that's all.
I'm a member of the Scarborough Fishing Games, so I'm not just talking off the top of my head. I am not a hunter.
Right.
But I appreciate the dangers that are associated with firearms.
Mhm.
So I just don't know how these become compatible activities. And I don't mean to sidetrack the conversation.
90%, yes.
So does having in your application to NACA, does having hunting identified as a potential, does that help the grant application?
I don't know exactly,
For federal funds.
they asked that question in the application, I don't know how it's scored. That, like, I don't know if they add points for hunting, or if they don't add points, or if they just want to know whether they'll be.
Or just even more useless?
Right, yeah, I don't know exactly how that plays out in the application, but the question is that.
The issue of hunter of safety is not to be minimized, but it really is beyond the scope of this application, because those issues are gonna be there no matter who owns that property. And it's not limited to this property, it applies to every patch of woods, no matter where it is. And so a discussion of the safety of allowing hunting on this particular property is much bigger than just deciding if it should be in or should be out at this point in the funding. So obviously, we don't want anybody to hurt, but I'm not sure that it should derail the application approval or our recommendations. I do think there's a potential risk in alienating constituents who might support our bonding approval applications from time to time. Because some of the very people that would use this for hunting or hiking or meandering through an open space are also taxpayers, and we don't need to alienate groups. We certainly need to be concerned about safety. I'm not suggesting that we should be cavalier or reckless about it. But this discussion is much bigger than just this one application.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack the conversation. It just seemed to me that we checked the box and it.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, Scott, if you could wrap up in like 5 minutes, is that doable?
Sure.
As well, we have to go through the whole story thing, and you're willing, I would ask you to stay with us at the table while we do that. You can add comment then as well.
I'm happy to, whatever you want me to present, I've got the budget, I typically. present
Yeah,
the budget
let's talk about the
pictures.
budget.
Sure. So why don't we do pictures real quick, since we're scrolling through the picture section. So this is, just one of a picture of the kind of a typical forest scene of the property.
Did you all get the pictures that I circulated around? I mean, that should,
Yeah.
These are the pictures of the vernal pools, some of the vernal pools on the property, and you can see the wood frog eggs in the middle picture, and the bottom picture is salamander eggs. Some pictures of some of the wetlands. You can see the top picture, lots of mossy, like peat moss areas within there. And then as you scroll down, lots of stuff, standing water in those wetland areas. So it's very, it's a property that's really holding that for, to help protect the wildlife and streams. And then that is a picture of one of the trails that are already on the property, kind of leading back into the woods, and again, a beautiful forest scene, kind of showing some of those benefits that the community will be able to utilize from it.
and there's a good bit of moisture under those leaves too.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. That's what forests do, when you have leaf litter and covering over the soil, and you've got canopy of trees, that rain, when it comes in, it stays in the soil, it holds it, and slowly releases it. Which is, is a benefit. It's not like a parking lot or a roof, which that water drains off very quickly, runs right into the stream. And within minutes after a rainstorm, you see your driveway or the roads are all dry and roofs are all dry. All that water is rushed off. Forests tend to hold that back a little bit and really provide that for wildlife and stream health. So the budget. So as you can see, it's the budget, the total budget is approximately 1.25 million for the property. That includes the value of the property as well as due diligence items and stewardship. And we are we're asking for $750,000 towards that 1.25 million, which is about 60% of the total project cost. If we are successful with our NACA grant, we're going to be requesting $380,000. So that would help to reduce the amount that the land bond would use. And it brings it down. I mean, if we were able to reimburse the entire 380, it would bring it down to about 30% would be the land bond contributions toward this project. Any questions about that?
Okay. Sorry, how do you determine how much you're gonna ask for a grant?
Or for instance, for NACA?
Yeah, and how did you come up with the 380,000?
So it's part of the NACA grant, they require match funding. So, it's all wrapped up into the way the application's written, and we have other partners, other land trusts within the application. So we're looking at how much money all the projects need for all the different land trusts, how much match is required, what are the limits on the amount you can ask from NACA. So there's a lot of different pieces that mix around and formulate this. So we work, we have meetings with the other applicants or within the coalition for this application, and we work together to figure out what would be the best budget things.
Can you speak a little bit more about the contribution from the landowner? Is this a bargain sale or a donation? Because I think that's also important to recognize if true.
Yeah, so it will be a bargain sale. There is the appraised value. We were able to negotiate a contract price that is lower than the appraised value on the property. So. And you can see that.
Any other questions? Okay, let's get into the, great, thank you, Scott. Please stay with us.
Yep.
Contribute as needed. Let's look at the new land acquisition assessment form 2.0. just to repeat and kind of, summarize, we take, the data from, the different GIS sources. And Nicole now creates a polygon. We use our application to do the initial scoring. And then we look at it based on the information we have from Scott and Land Trust, and we can make adjustments as we see fit. So let's go through line by line and see what we have here. So parcel includes significant aquifer recharge areas, 50 points. As explained by Scott, that seems like it is correct. And I'll just keep moving, and if anybody has anything to add, please jump in. Parcel provides a buffer for natural vegetation from river's edge, salt stream, blah, blah, blah. And we gave that 50 points based on a 70, well, let's see, whatever the calculation was on GIS. What we should do here, now looking at this, Nicole, and it just came, we should put the maximum score
I was just gonna,
available, because I think that's, both of those are max 50. And we've maximized those, I believe. Parcel includes erodible bluffs, 50 points. If we find that on the map, we don't see it on a GIS, and just walking through that, I don't see that as well, right, Scott? That's great. Parcel includes highly erodible soils.
I see erodible soils,
You do,
yeah,
from just the photos or some other GIS?
I can find it here. No soil. Now, this is potentially highly erodible land, and I don't know what the difference is between potentially and actual. But this is what I can find.
This is a GIS that's publicly available from some source, but it's, well, we don't know what potentially means.
Pardon?
We don't know what potentially means. Do you know what that is, Scott or Andrew or anyone?
It shows up.
Noah, where's Noah? We need him.
I don't think it should be considered.
You do, okay. Any thoughts on that from the group?
What is your source?
The source, what's the source?
Well, state players. Oh, actually, it's from the USDA Soil Conservation Service,
Okay.
and they have a really detailed map online that I can go over it with your cameras.
Could we just put a citation in there that make sure it's included as a reference?
Yeah, I think,
We're gonna assign points, we don't know where they're coming from.
well, I think that's partially my concern. My other partial concern is potential. I don't know what that word potentially means. So I wouldn't want to assign points until we know what that means.
Yeah,
Can you
we
look
have
into
to
that,
look
what
into
that
yeah,
definition is?
sure.
People support that?
I'm sorry, where do you see potential?
I'm sorry, no.
He's got his own source.
We have a map here.
Okay,
and it only shows land in this parcel as potentially highly erodible, but we don't know.
Okay,
what
I was just looking at this land.
It's USGA map. All right, so let's just make a note that we could potentially give it 20 plus points, but if you could email me in Nicole what that potentially means, that would be great. All
I
right,
guess my further reaching concern is if you as a board decide that is a source we want to use, then we need to use it going forward, and I will need to talk with the company that made the app
Right.
to include that.
Standard federal government agency source. And it's extremely technical. I
Right.
spent hours on the website just looking at
Sure.
soil evaluations, trying to get, not
Right.
being a soil scientist, trying to get some understanding.
yeah,
And as far as I'm concerned, it's basically the final source for soils
Yeah, so-
analysis in the country.
right, so my concern is why doesn't why don't we show this?
Why is that not
did
the
it come up?
source?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so that's good. So well, if you could actually send this to Nicole and I as well. Graphic, map, that'd be great. All right, so. We're gonna, just that's an asterisk, and potentially you can add 20 more points to that. All right, next one, environmental hazards. Parcel includes land within adjacent to the 10 feet, 10.9 sea rise mitigation plan. I can't believe that that doesn't fall within that, but I guess it's high enough, but the map doesn't show it, so 0 points there. Part of all the parcel is in the 100-year floodplain, looks like it doesn't meet based on FEMA map. Parcels included adjacent to the resource protection zone, doesn't fall within that. Parcels included in adjacent to a shoreline zone, again, that's identified in the map and doesn't do that. Parcel is, size of parcel in acres. So it is within the 51 to 100 acres. That gives it 40 points.
Was 47.
46 acres, okay.
So I think what happened there is the tax map, the tax assessor data has it as like 51 point something acres. But the actual survey data is coming back 46 acres, so I think that's where the.
Okay,
So the computer program wasn't wrong, it was using tax map.
okay, thank you, Scott. So we'll bring that down to 30 points. Right,
Well,
Nicole?
the tax map calls it 40, we'll keep it 40. And they- Error in your.
The application is 47. Right? What do people think about that?
I just.
I
think we ought to-
Discrepancy.
Say 47?
Say that it's 30 points, because that's where the number of acres proves to be.
Yeah, I agree with that. People support that. I see nods. All right. Parcel includes potential habitat for significant species. That was clearly the case. So we give that the maximum of 50 points. Parcel contains significant species, 20 points assigned if there's data. Well, given that we have those eggs and things that we've seen in the vernal pool for the spotted
And
salamander.
the bats and the bird.
Yeah,
I mean, those are all significant and endangered species.
would you agree with that, Scott?
Well, we don't, I mean, if it's asking the parcel contains significant species, like I don't have proof of that being there.
Well, we
So-
do have
But you do.
proof of the eggs and
No,
the
I do have
salamander.
proof of the eggs for the salamanders and the
Right.
white frogs, and you know, that is a state significant vernal pool to protect those
Right.
species, so.
So I would say 20 points, agree?
I
Agree. All right, parcel includes wetlands, yes. Parcel includes habitat features of designated including. Wildlife corridor. 10 points. Looks like it does. All right, ecosystem of significance.
Can we say?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
On the bottom there, under
At the end of
each
the
tree,
page.
commercial and habitat
Oh,
included.
oh,
Is that something where we would?
I can instead of this, this
Sorry.
is what I. This is what I would actively go in here and change the score, so if we wanna share a different screen, I
I
can
just,
do that.
watching, they don't know, I guess.
I can share the different thing.
yeah, I think that makes more sense. Well, I know it's more hassle for you to go back, but I think that would be helpful.
Isn't a significant vernal pool, a state significant vernal pool? H
Yeah, we have that
44.
in the second question. That's,
So what is the ecosystem? What's the differentiation? Ecosystem versus, I mean, area. The whole thing seems like a significant ecosystem.
So, I mean, I can chime in a little bit on this.
Yes.
I mean, I think what the program is using to determine whether it's an ecosystem of significance or not is based on the Maine Natural Areas Program surveys. And so they have, they survey the entire state and they come up with their own, the state has their own categories of what they consider an ecosystem of significance, and then they apply them to the entire state. So it's not showing up on that map as an ecosystem of significance. But this is something that we've talked about in the past, right? Is that what the state is looking at for ecosystems of significance may not overlap with what the town is looking at for ecosystems of significance. So, so that's gonna depend on how you guys want to evaluate this. If you want to stick strictly to what the states, what they're determining is the important ones, or if the town wants to expand on that a little bit to say, hey, for our town, this is actually a very significant ecosystem.
Well, we were there. And it seems significant to me, and I think we should give it 10 points.
Yeah, we clearly,
We should
and
be
that's
able
the
to
reason.
Override whatever was.
Right, we have this discussion because we have more information than is available on this map. And we've agreed that we're not gonna just limit, right, our discussion to one source being Maine or something. So I think we can give that 10 points. Agreed?
Yes.
All right, deer wintering area, no indication there. Vernal pool, absolutely,
Sam?
yes.
It's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, it was answered.
Oh, thank you, sorry, thank you, Maggie. Vernal pool, absolutely, I wonder why it doesn't show up on the map again. Or maybe there's there's significant vernal pools.
So I can chime in a little bit on
Yeah.
that one as well. So again, the layer that's being used in this program is a layer from IFNW. And that's typically landowners will submit that, or for instance, if it goes in front of the planning board for development. The planning board will look at significant vernal pools, and I don't know if the developer or the planning board sends that information to the state. But somehow it's typically that layer is reflective of like all the vernal pools that have been found through the development process.
Okay,
So because this hasn't gone through the development process, the state hasn't been notified of that vernal pool. Is my understanding, which is why it's not showing up here. But the process of identifying it as a state significant vernal pool was conducted by a wetland consultant, vernal pool consultant.
Yes.
For the purposes of having that data for development.
Well, I don't want to get into the way the meeting, a lot of details, but I think that original survey work, which was done, what was the name of the consultant? They took it from town maps. And the original survey work, I have a real lot of questions to the validity of their work. Not the validity, but the reliability. Nothing showed up on the original survey, so I could see. And yet when you're going through, and they're doing it from, I don't know how many 100 feet in the air, they're just doing aerial surveys. So I think anything that has to do with vernal pools has got to be done with on the ground.
all right, good, agreed, we saw it, 20 points. All right,
And just to clarify, so I think what Dick is talking about, that original survey was done like 20-some years ago for the town, and it was done with aerial photographs. The survey that was done for this specific project was an actual on the ground consultant.
So
have you seen the pictures? I've seen the pools. So yes,
exactly.
thank you. Riparian road corridors, connectors. It doesn't show up on the map, but we potentially have a connection, right, Scott, across the road, Payne Road?
I mean, there's conserved habitat on the other side, so yeah, I mean, there's potential for wildlife to be able to cross through. I mean, I'm sure they're doing it already.
We should go out there and have one night out this year. I would give that 10 points. Would people agree?
Yes.
Yes, okay. No, that's all right. I don't see any opposition. Tidal or inland wading bird waterfowl habitat. Well,
Didn't see any ducks.
yeah. So, given that we have wood ducks and other things, but they're not, I guess, I'm not sure why we have 0 there. Because it's just not identified in those resources, right? Or, any thoughts on this? We could use Noah probably in this one. Scott, you have any thoughts on giving that points or not.
Is that 4.6?
Yeah, inland wading birds, so. There's no herons or that sort of thing. I guess the black duck isn't a wading bird.
Right, I mean. Yeah, it could potentially be waterfowl habitat for like breeding, so like, there are ducks that will use forested properties for
Yeah.
breeding. I think it's like is it the black duck, maybe the wood duck? And it is within a, through NACA and through the federal government, they identify areas, and this is identified as a priority area for waterfowl. So, but as far as like, did we see ducks on the property? No.
No, it's just more if it's identified, and it says, yeah, and you're right.
Yeah, so again, these maps are state maps.
Yeah.
But you have the federal government is looking at this property also, and you know, they're identifying it in a different way, so. That would be up to you guys.
Yeah, I think we give that 10 points because we have the wood duck and the black duck. Okay, so we'll make those corrections or those additions. Okay, recreation creates a link between protected parcels. You know. We have a protected parcel based on across the street at Payne Road. That's not a public parcel, but it is protected. It's a conservation area. There's no public access. And there's a road between it. So I guess it's up to us whether we want to decide if that's a connection or not. If that's a link.
Does the road mean it doesn't apply to, I don't know.
We've given points before when there's a road in between.
Can you give just a few points?
Partial points.
In the scoring description, it says it needs to about 2 protected parcels.
Oh, this is the link one. I'm sorry. You're right. Let's go on to the next question. Which is the connection. Thank you. That's parcel creates a link between trails. I would say no to that. Parcel abuts protected lands. I think we should give it that point because it does abut those that conservation area. Do people agree?
I agree. I think the GIS just like it literally doesn't touch because of the road. And so
Yeah.
it's like, it's not connected, but it is. You
Yeah.
can cross a road.
Right. Parcels near protected lands. Well, we gave it 25 points. I think it's because it's next to that parcel as well as up the road from Moreland. So we'll keep the points there. That's okay.
Was there a point determination on RC3?
Seemed like there was.
50.
I
Yes.
didn't know if you were giving the full amount. so.
Yeah. Provides access to passive recreation. And that's yes, we're gonna give that 20 points. Jess doesn't know that. Potential to add or expand passive recreation opportunities. There's a potential, yes, absolutely, right, Scott? I mean, that's in the discussion,
Yes.
correct? There's no guarantee, but we definitely might have a parking lot, probably gonna have some trail work done, at least. I cleared some of that stuff out, 20 points. Passive, okay, that's the total. Public access to ocean or beach, no. Public access to saltwater marshal tidal river, we changed that to any river. You wanna make that note, Nicole, last time. Public access to upland river, oh, that's, yes, that's upland river or any river. Or saltwater fresh marsh, it doesn't have access to that. Public access to fields and forests. Well,
Yes.
that would be a yes.
Can you go backwards? The
Yes.
river, is the river the RC 6.2 or the 6.1?
We can actually leave it there. I guess that's not the one we corrected, because we have, what we took out is upland in 6.3.
Okay, so this one's fine.
Just kidding.
Okay.
River, stream, we actually, I think we said river, stream, but any waterway. Good. Public access to another area. Yeah, you left that in because we. Just in case there was access to something else we wanted to add, so we'll just skip that for now. Passive recreation access distribution, 20 points if there is no other passive recreation opportunity within a half a mile. So Warren Woods is that a half a mile?
I'm not sure exactly.
No, okay. We should,
Parking lot is farther than we have to allow.
but the land. Yeah,
Access. How about would you just access within a half mile? I
yeah,
mean, if- I don't know.
well, you could access through not the parking lot, essentially, guys, but it seems to me that this is such a. Commercial and residential area that's so large. Giving public access to this, using this land for public access is very important. It's part of our comprehensive plan, that goal to make sure there's recreational, passive recreation within a half a mile. I would tend to give it 20 points for that, give or take a few hundred feet, I would say. You will support that? 1.1.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay,
Good.
20 points, thank you. All right, views. This is a view from the roadway to try to kind of preserve our view of the town from the roadway. Tidal marsh or beaches, no. Fields and farms. No. Forest land for sure. Okay. Rural corridor, road corridors, not sure what that is. We seem to look at that. It keeps coming up. Special or unique vistas. I wouldn't say so. Cemeteries, archaeological sites, no. Working forest, pasture, or farm, no. City views of note. Okay, so 20 points of signs if there is a view of any of the above. So we will give that 20 points. All right, working lands. So this contain crops, grazing lands, or any field? The answer to that is no. Additional considerations, working lands, no. Okay, other considerations, 50 points if the land is 50% left, being paid by the town at 50% or less. That's not the case. 20 if the sign is 50, well, so we don't get any points, 20 or 50, because we're at about 38% or something like that right now. For payment by the town. So we'll pass along that. No points for that one. Non-town funds allocated for parcel maintain and improvement. Absolutely. Then give that 20 points. We have stewardship as well as potential improvements.
I thought the
portion of
land
this-
bond was 60%.
Well,
Scott,
I guess
didn't you say it
depends
was 60?
Well,
Yeah,
well, if we pay, it depends. If we pay, if the NACA is included or not included, right?
The application for 60%, but that's the same.
yeah, I mean, I'm requesting the 750, which is 60%, so.
So it should get 20 points.
Okay,
It should get 20 points, understanding if we do get NACA, it would be
It would have been higher.
30, it would be higher.
okay, thank you. 20 points. Thanks, Justin. All right. Let's see, 50 points if it's part of the open space focus or high value area, which it is. So 50 points. So we give that a new total. We'll talk about that. Wrap up here. And okay, just in there. Other consideration.
I think we got through it.
How about other sources of input or other sources of land, like the NACA grant or some other of yeah, where is that?
That was the last section, just did the other.
Yeah, other considerations.
Do we know how many units are in that apartment building? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Many,
Hmm.
many.
yeah, I mean,
How many
how,
units are in?
how
the
many, I
apartment
mean, it's
complex?
providing
Loads.
direct recreational access, will be providing direct recreational access to a lot of people. And I think that that's a special consideration, especially in a part of town that, yes, there is within 1.1 miles, there's another opportunity, but it's not something you can easily and safely walk to or bike to.
But we gave those points already, both categories.
I know
Do we
that we
need to
give
give
them,
more?
I'm not saying we need to give them points. I'm saying I think that's an important thing to mention to council.
Okay,
Not everything has to be a point that is special about this application. Or something you're likely to get a question from council on.
right. No, I thank you very much. I'd like to go back to OC1, leverage investment. Under private funding, state funding, federal funding, and other. I think because we do get the bargain sale from the landowner, the landowner was agreed to that $390,000. I think we should give it points for that. So that's 20 more points under OC 1.5. People agree?
.4?
Well, under other funding, yeah. No, private funding would be the owner, landowner. And it gets 20 points for that. Under the, I think that we just put it all in that one category. Obviously, you know, that's yeah, put in OC 1.1.
20 points?
Yeah. All right. So. If Nicole, you could bring that up to the new score.
Well, you're gonna have to hold on. I have
Yes.
to input it.
I guess the scoring isn't fundamentally critical or not the only thing to consider. What do people think about in general about this property and generally support the land bond usage? At what level and general comments? Let's go around.
I generally support the land bond usage. I think that the value really goes to the benefit of a smaller subsection of the town than I would like to see. But it is kind of important for the town to have areas like this so that people are more dispersed. They don't all go to Warren Woods, there's other places nearby that they can go to, so there is a broader benefit to the town, to the townspeople. So I think I support it. I also like that it's a bargain price. I very much appreciate the discounted price and so.
I support it too. If, and I don't know how this would happen, if there's ever a way that the town can, as we, accumulate all these properties all over, if there's ever a way that the town can contribute by, encouraging walking instead of cars, so much so that, for instance, this property to Warren Woods, a sidewalk. We talked about that earlier. I mean, and that would have to be town input, obviously, but, you know, this is commercial, but it's also residential rolled in there.
Mhm.
So, I think that would, as we move along, I think that would be very helpful and just make the town more,
Susan, any thoughts?
I think it's very valuable precincts. And it's a very busy area, very developed area, and it's all of them chance to be better.
I would agree, and I think not only are there the abutting apartment complex and neighborhood, but just across the road on the other side is a whole other set of neighborhoods, so. it's a lot of people that would be very close to it, and it's a busy corridor that I can imagine other people going down Payne Road if they live farther out, stop there, walk or something. So, it's great to add another green space for people. Albeit 1.1 miles from our village.
I second this motion.
Okay, thank you. Megan.
I just want to point out, Google tells me there are 336 apartments at the gateway there. That is a lot.
Those are residents. Those are
Yep.
our town residents.
And I don't know what other places allow dogs, but I do know they allow dogs. And so I do,
It's a lot of dogs.
yep. And I think that's one of the issues that we're in, so that's on my radar, I will say, because we are running out of space, for places for people to bring their dogs. That's an issue that we're dealing with all the time.
Right, most of the land trust properties do allow dogs, leashed and unleashed both. So that's a good point. I think this is just such a great property from the environmental and the habitat perspective, as well as the development buffer. Taking those acreage off the development roll, in an already congested part of town, usually beneficial to the town. I'm a little concerned, not concerned, but I want to just make a note that our kind of a historic perspective as far as the percentage of the purchase price of the town is paid is typically 50% or less. It's kind of been the benchmark. Given that I think land is getting more expensive and it's getting less is available, I think that's the expectation that maybe we have to pay a little more than that 50% is pretty, I mean, I support that. And when I'm evaluating this, I'm looking at this as a sum $750,000. There's no guarantee we'll ever see that money, because we may not see the NACA funds. So as we did in the last one, where there was let's call it a variable purchase or variable price based on NACA funds being received or not. I think we should do it evaluating based on, is this a good investment for $750,000 of taxpayers' money? People, yes, agree with that?
Well, what is the likelihood of not getting the NACA funds?
I think it's very low that we're not gonna get the NACA funds.
Approved.
I'm very confident that this application will get awarded.
The way I look at it is you're out of pocket from now until you get your NACA funds. But when you get your NACA funds, you're basically the town's investment in this property is what, $750 minus $380, what's like $320,000.
Yeah,
Which is certainly less than 50% of this property. So I think you're being a little bit unfair to yourself by saying we're not going to get the NACA funds and we need to evaluate it as if we weren't going to get those monies. Right?
That's my perspective. Given that where we are in the world, and given that we're already backing up 3 other properties waiting for NACA funds, I don't think it's responsible for us to assume we're gonna get that money. That's awesome. There's no guarantee. And it's
that. Yeah, and maybe I'm too liberal in my approach, but I think maybe you're too conservative in your approach. I think there has to be more of a middle ground here. I mean,
I have
It's
to
not
pop
too
off
fishy
and
together, you know, and
yeah, Jess.
I have to pop off in 3 minutes. Are we comfortable
Yes.
taking a vote? Or do you have a quorum without me?
I'm ready. No, I think we're ready.
I don't mean to push folks if they're not comfortable, just
No, I think we're ready for a vote.
I inputted all
Yes.
the changes, 595.
$5.95, we went up, great.
I think it's a remarkable piece. It's an oasis from my perspective.
Yeah.
I think to let this go would be criminal.
And, all right, so all those in favor of recommending to the town council that we.
I think we need a motion.
You need a motion? Thank you, Jess. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that the PCLB recommend this project to the town council at the next.
Second.
All in favor? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, all right,
Yes, absolutely.
sounds good. You got that vote? Any opposed? I don't see anybody else that's voting. Noah's not here.
Yep.
All right, well, congratulations. We will I think, when are you meeting next? I'm not sure we can get on the
July.
agenda. July.
Expected to be on the job.
Oh, okay. Let you tell Tom when it's time.
Great, thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Just support.
All right, I will write that up and present that to the board. We only have like a minute and a half left. So can people stay for like 5 more minutes? Okay, I just want to at least recognize some of these things and need to table them or move ahead. We started doing this benchmark of the last parcel, the reevaluation based on the 2.0. And we're not gonna obviously have time to do that. So I would like to see if anybody would volunteer to finish 91 Mussey Road and do the other 3 or 4. We had 4 total.
We had a total of 4.
Total of 4. So finish the Mussey Road and reevaluate the other 3.
Actually, sorry, we had a total of 5.
Okay, so 4 of us. I'm just not getting to it, so if there's somebody else that could do it, that'd be great, otherwise I'll I'll fit it in.
I'm happy to do a couple of them, but I have to consult with my husband because I wasn't part of all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, okay,
so you want to divide it up with other people?
Okay.
Yeah, so
thank you, Susan, let's do that, I will send you an email, and Nicole and I will divvy them up. We'll do that, because I think it is important to get those benchmarks done. So we can compare it with the new process. We talked about collaboration with community services. Update on public facing PCLB materials, I haven't done anything with that. I'll try to get to that before the next meeting as far as what's on the website and what should be on the website. The volunteer we talked about. That was the application, next meeting. There are 10 parcels of town land that are potentially going to be transferred to the Scarborough Land Trust. And the town managers asked us to look at those properties. There are 10, so I recommended that we take them as a single parcel, just like a big parcel that has lots of attributes, wetlands, forest lands. We just look at them as a total parcel and run our process using them as a unit. Because I don't think we have the time or energy to do 10 different assessments. These are all around town, and you may know more about what these are. I think part of them are lands that have been awarded to the town as buffers of conservation area based on development and easements and zoning, as well as potential other ways that town acquires land.
And do you have to do the scoring when we're transferring it, when we are transferring it?
Tom has asked us for our recommendation. To me, we have no other process than go through some scoring.
There is no way I can score 10 different sites as one person.
Let's don't stress about, I don't think we can score it. Because we've done it before.
I will say that he let Nick and I see the parcels, and it's nothing that like would ever be usable for.
Yeah.
Any.
So I just don't want you to do too much work. I don't think the scoring will work. We've done this in the past. Let's maybe think about how we did it before. I think it was just a recommendation.
I would think it's just a recommendation.
So it's just a
Okay, so
discussion.
just a discussion based on.
Discussion.
It's
I
just
mean,
a discussion. It's the
Yeah.
same way with when the town is disposing of properties not to the land trust. We've talked about whether or not there's a high conservation value and whether we would oppose that. But not a formal scoring.
Can we see a map of them?
Yeah, we'll get the information, definitely. Okay, so if folks are comfortable, I'll talk to Tom or send him an email, tell him, just give us a summary and a map and we'll make a general recommendation.
Sam, I do want to make one
Yes.
clarification. There's two parcels in there that are not leaving town ownership. We're suggesting conservation easement placed on them and we hold the easement.
Okay,
The town would still retain ownership. The other parcels would be transfers because they are all abutting existing preserves bars.
Nice.
great.
That
Thank
would
you.
be in the summary.
Do you
Yes,
have,
yeah, there's a whole.
do you have a list of them?
Yes, there's, the town received a package from us.
Yeah, we'll get that
Okay,
beforehand, for the next meeting. Just, and we'll run that just like we'll get the information, we'll put it in the agenda. You'll get to see it before. the meeting. Okay. Okay. All right, we talked about the rest of those things. Our next meeting is July 16th, is that right? Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
All right, second? Thank you, all in favor? All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great early summer. Remember, this is early summer.